Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going over 4 books that got me started when I was first coming up as a product designer and that you should definitely read if you want to start your own career in design. I've worked for big sports brands like Adidas, I've worked for smaller fashion brands, I even designed for my own label for a while. And if you're new to the industry, if you want to get into design, you want to make things that inspire people, maybe you dream about working for a company or starting your own brand someday, I'm putting this list together for you because early on when I was in your shoes, I had no idea where to start. I needed to learn branding, I needed to learn how to tell a story through my work, I needed to figure out how to build a portfolio that was going to get me hired, and these books guided me through that process. They tell you what it takes to break into the industry and how to thrive as a creative professional. By the way, I'm Alex. Thanks for stopping by. I want you to like this video if you find it useful, and I would love if you join me and subscribe to my channel. So number 1 is a pretty famous book in the design world. It's called The Design of Everyday Things, written by cognitive scientist and usability engineer Donald Norman. I think this might have been the first book that I ever read on design. I was a freshman in college at the time and I was studying business. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in my life, but then I got really interested in apparel design. At one point, I remember sketching out ideas for pocket t-shirts, and my grandma hauled out her old 50-pound Singer sewing machine to teach me how to make my own. And as I was learning how to sew, I was also discovering an entirely new approach to products and how design can affect our everyday lives through this book. One of the stories that still stands out to me is a story about door handles and how the design of a handle can tell people how they should walk through a door. This is something known as affordances, which are features that are built into every product that make it clear to the user what the thing is for and how it should be used. For instance, a button looks like it should be pushed. A switch implies being flipped. Knobs get rotated. And when you get these affordances right, you create successful products. But bad design is when you get those affordances wrong. Let's go back to the door example. If you walk up to a door and you try to open it, but it doesn't work, like if there's a handle, but you have to push instead of pulling, those are conflicting messages that confuse people. And usually what tends to happen is people go, oh, I'm so dumb, I can't even walk through a door. You know, they blame themselves. But Norman points out that the user isn't the problem here, it's the design that's flawed. Good design should be easy to use, and it doesn't create those experiences of friction. It's a completely different approach, and it's a wonderful book that teaches you how to start thinking like a designer. Next on the list is a collection of interviews by Amina Horzik. It's called Breaking In. Amina is an industrial designer, and she put together this series interviewing over 100 product designers from across disciplines, everything from car companies, sportswear brands, tech companies, creators from all different industries. And she focuses on finding out how these people built a successful portfolio that helped them to land their dream jobs. And it's a book that I really like for 2 reasons. Number 1, I grew up playing basketball, and when I was first getting into design, Nike was my dream job, so I was highlighting everything I could in the Nike interviews. But number 2, there's this idea in med school that you should do your rounds to every specialty with an open mind, because you might discover a passion in a certain area that wasn't even on your radar before. Testing the waters and expanding and exposing yourself to options is a great approach because you don't know all the things that are out there. You don't know what's right for you yet. And when you're just starting out, this book is a really great way of dipping your toes into this world and exposing yourself to the different fields in design. So yeah, great book, lots of insight. Next book on the list is a really important one. This is Designing Brand Identity by Alina Wheeler. Quick story on this. So I got into design initially because I would always have these cool ideas for things that I wanted to wear, but there wasn't a store or a brand that I could find that actually made the things how I wanted them. So I decided to make them for myself. And something you learn really quickly when you try to get your designs produced in a factory is that you have to meet certain MOQs. MOQs are minimum order quantities. You can't just make one shirt if you're starting a shirt line. You have to order 100, 500, maybe even 1,000 shirts, depending on the factory. And it takes a lot of upfront investment to turn that idea into a finished product. And I didn't have that kind of cash at the time. But then I thought, well, instead of paying all of this money for someone to make it for me, why don't I just learn how to make it myself? And then I can make anything I want. So that's what I did. And the first step was designing my brand. And that's where this book really came in handy, because it's basically the textbook on branding. It takes you step by step through the whole process of how a brand is built, and it gives you the building blocks of all of the components you're going to need to be the architect of your own brand. Whether your goal is to work for a big company one day, or if you're trying to start your own line, understanding branding is going to be essential for success in this business and to find your own identity as a creative. And the fourth book on my list is a fun one. It's called Design is Storytelling by Ellen Lupton. It's a book on how to tell a compelling story through your design. Every story, regardless of the medium, needs a compelling action, it needs to elicit emotion, and it needs to have a strong point of view. You have to make the audience feel something, and products are no different. Every product tells a story in one way or another. The story changes people's lives, or it should change people's lives in a positive way. And this book gives you the framework for all of the little bits and pieces that you're going to need and that go into that process. It's got tons of cool animations that illustrate the concepts like rules of three, graphic design. There is a concept called Maslow's hierarchy of user interface needs, which I thought was pretty funny. This book is a toolbox that you can use to your advantage when you're starting a project that can get you to experiment and help you to push yourself outside of your comfort zone to tell a more compelling story and to create better products. It's a great book. Now I have one more book that I want to share. This one is a little bonus, if you will, if you've gotten this far. We all need heroes. We all need people that are further along the path in life than us that we can look up to and be inspired by. And for me, one of my design mentors from a distance has always been Johnny Ive, the former Apple designer that designed the Mac, the iPod, the iPhone. He was the guy that Steve Jobs relied on to make products that would change people's lives. And this last book on my list for you as a new designer is this biography on him. It's called Johnny Ive, the Genius Behind Apple's Greatest Products. You get this rare opportunity to peek inside the Apple design studio, which is notorious for being very private and very secretive. And it's a story about this amazing life journey that becoming a designer can take you on if you work hard and stay curious and you surround yourself with talented people from different places and all walks of life that are obsessed with making great products. It's a life goal that every designer should aspire to. So if I was teaching a design course, every single one of these books would absolutely be at the top of the syllabus. Read them all if you can, and more importantly, act on the takeaways you get from them, and you'll be a better designer for it. And if you like that video, you should watch this one on the 5 best books that I've read so far in 2022. Thank you very much for your attention, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.